We're back for another Embers Adrift Patch Notes. Let's go see what we've got this week. Let's go see what we've got coming up this week with the new build. Alright, so Wednesday, June 22nd. What's new? Happy belated summer solstice, everybody. This week we bring you a number of seemingly small but fundamentally important changes that we have been iterating on for the past 3 weeks or so. Dropped gear has been more evenly distributed throughout the world, giving you a reason to fight non-humanoids. Crafting has undergone many design changes, with the goal of making progression feel more meaningful. We are also working on gathering and crafting specializations, which we hope to roll out in the coming weeks. Characters have been wiped and you will all be starting over from scratch. Leveling potions have been removed so that we can accurately assess leveling speeds and progression feels. I know many of you have gone through the leveling process numerous times, but please leave feedback for how this particular iteration feels. I cannot stress enough how crucial the low-level experience is, and we have to get it right if we want the product to succeed. I know we don't yet have quests in, coming soon, but please pay attention and leave feedback on how you feel the leveling pace, character strength progression, and equipment progression. Bug fixes and improvements. Tech. Improved the server's calculation of sun position to more accurately reflect the client's skybox. This should yield more consistent day-night spawn rules. Adjusted latitude and longitude of Meadowlands, Dryfoot, and Redshore, which allows us to simulate that these zones are in different locations of the world. This results in slightly different dawn and dusk times in zones to the east or west, and different sun and planet altitudes for zones the more north you go. Adding periodic adjustments to skybox reflections, which will hopefully further prevent getting stuck in day and night. Did anyone encounter this over the weekend? If so, did toggling the multi-frame cloud reflections checkbox resolve the issue? UI. Fixing some issues where the guild roster list was not properly updating. Design. New ability, Strike, given to all characters at level 1 in addition to their normal role ability. This should help the early game feel a bit more engaging without sacrificing later balance, as this skill does not scale. Prevent Knight's inner fire from being used while sitting. Knight's crushing blow execution time reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. Berserker now gets a two-hander damage bonus in addition to their one-handed and range damage bonus. Equipment can now be sourced from more than just humanoids. This may be a step backwards in terms of theme, why did a doe drop a sword, but it lifts a number of self-imposed limitations on the design team. There should now be many reasons to hunt all of the different creatures in the game. New armor types. These are drop only for now. Chitin. New visuals, see below. Heavier than metal armors and offers substantial protection for a penalty to movement and flanking bonuses. Scale. Visuals pending. Lighter than metal armor, heavier than leather, and offers a mix of protection and a slight flanking bonus. Non-imbued crafting gear is once again on par with dropped gear. Note that the flex is still required to draw the bonus stats out from the materials used. Bonuses fixed for crafted items with ranged and two-handed damage bonuses. Crafting recipes require more resources per combine, but also give more experience. Intermediate crafting components have been removed in favor of direct refined resource usage. For example, leather strips, leather, fletching, cloth, wooden shafts, wood. This should greatly reduce the number of items that crafters need to manage. New stuff. Recipe diversity. Previously, harvesting and crafting professions had relatively few recipes that were each extremely flexible. Like the sword recipe could make all kinds of swords with different materials. One of the downsides to this system is that our players often felt a lack of progression as they leveled up. These recipes didn't indicate when something new unlocked, so it never really provided you with something to work towards. This extreme flexibility also prevented us from being able to show you what was possible unless you had the specific set of items in your inventory. We have taken those super flexible recipes and broken them down by material tier. That sword recipe has now become a recipe for each material tier, copper, sword, tin sword, etc., to provide a greater sense of progression. However, you may remember that when we refactored the raw materials, that more potent versions of materials will come back into play at higher levels. There is a new version of a copper sword that shows up at around level 40. We were able to keep a bit of that recipe flexibility, as more potent materials will still be usable in their associated recipes, like a more potent copper sword can still be used in the same copper sword recipe. We're also hoping that this change makes things a bit easier to show you a preview of the output item without having to have all of the components in your inventory. Note that this, showing you a preview of the item without having the components in your inventory, is something we are working towards but cannot guarantee it will happen. In other words, no promises. Recipes now have specific material requirements. Copper short sword recipe requires copper for the blade, pine quarterstaff requires pine for the staff, etc. Harvesting and crafting professions now start with recipes for copper, malachite, pine, flax, pennybun, and lean carcass materials. Other recipes will need to be found and learned. Dropped versus crafted equipment. One of the big issues we have been wrestling with over the past few weeks is how to make crafted gear not be terrible while also not stepping on the toes of adventurers. This ultimately led to the introduction of Emberflux, which we feel was a big improvement overall. To make sure that dropped gear remained viable, we ended up nerfing non-imbued crafting gear, which left many feeling a bit unsatisfied. To remedy this, we are essentially separating the two so that they no longer step on each other's toes. Some equipment slots will only be fillable with crafted gear, while others can only be filled with dropped gear. This is especially true in the early game. However, it very well may change as players level up and crafting specializations are introduced, which may unlock additional recipes for crafters that allow you to make gear that was previously only obtainable via adventuring. There may also be exceptions to this rule when it comes to rare drops, etc. Think of this more as a guideline. Chameleon color improvements. We have new shader tech implemented that improves the visual variety of our chameleons. We can now adjust the base and pattern colors separately. Each chameleon type will have a fixed base color, while all of their pattern colors will be randomized for visual variety. In addition, the base color will decrease in saturation as they lose health. Here is an example of 4 base colors. Augment and repair kit tech. This week, tech was developed which opens the door for repair kits and item augments. Right-clicking on one of these items will change your cursor to a different icon, similarly to selling or repairing, at which point you can click on one of your items to perform the action. Repair kits will allow you to repair a fixed amount of damage on an item. The cost to create a repair kit will be relatively expensive, as we want it to be cheaper overall to visit an anvil. Augments will apply a temporary bonus to a piece of equipped gear at the cost of binding it to you, which means that you will no longer be able to trade it. Weapon augments currently come in the form of damage, pen, hit, and flanking, and expire after a specified number of successful hits. We are still working through the design of inner and outer armor augments. Our tech for repair kits and augments is in, but not available in-game yet, but it will be soon. The recipes for these items will likely become available when crafting specs come online, also very soon. Chitin armor visuals. As mentioned above, a new armor type with visuals has been added. Here's a preview of those visuals. Works in progress. 3 additional overland zones have had an initial art pass completed. Grizzly Peaks accessed via Highlands, Red Shore, and Gorge, a mountainous region with a number of tunnels, high level range 40 to 50, has a one-way exit to New Haven North. This is the snow-capped mountains that you can see from Red Shore. Highlands accessed via Meadowlands, a hilly region with sparse vegetation and water features. Mid-level range approximately 30 to 40, likely to come after Red Shore and Grizzly Peaks. Gorge accessed via Dryfoot, large canyon-like area, mid-level range 30 to 40, also likely to come after Red Shore and Grizzly Peaks. So this tells me that Grizzly Peaks, the level 40 to 50 range zone, is next. Dungeons prefab reorganization is complete. The next task is syncing up with the art team to make sure that no data is lost. After this, we will start populating the new dungeons. NPCs. Most NPCs have been converted to a universal model that includes the base and Ashen variants. This brings us one step closer to getting the Ashen variants in the game. They are currently awaiting a visual effects and lighting pass. Quests. A number of quests are in the queue for implementation and testing. Quest data structure likely needs a refactor. This is slated to happen after guilds are deployed. Now we already have guilds. We got guilds, 2 weeks ago? A week ago, something like that. So quests are coming. Tech, NPC improvements and NPC merchants. UI, quest dialogue redesign, tooltip improvements, new clothing and armor still in the works, crafting to-do list, which means to be implemented soon. Quality determines the final durability. Add level 10 plus recipes on more organized merchants. And crafting and harvesting specializations. We're getting there with crafting, guys. We're getting close. Reagent upgrade system timeline 1 to 2 weeks? Ember Essence collection and spending is next up on the docket of things to do after getting the new dungeons up and running. The first step for getting this in will be allowing you to collect Ember Essence, which will be followed by spending Ember Essence on Ember monoliths and reagent upgrades, etc. The Unity 2021 upgrade. This week should be the final week in which we are testing 2021. I spent a good deal of time this last week working out a bunch of our server issues with 2021, and I think everything is going smoothly at this point. I found a few critical bugs that I reported to Unity and was able to work around, thankfully. Once the whole team makes the move to 2021, we can start addressing some of the smaller issues like terrain, texture, tiling, fog volume, visual issues, etc. The Unity 2021 Linux update. Linux users, this one is for you. While isolating server issues for my bug reports to Unity, I was able to make some progress on the native Linux client. We are still a long ways off due to sporadic crashing, but I was able to get the client to load without insta-crashing, which is some semblance of progress. I will keep hacking away at it when time permits and keep you all updated. Thank you for your patience. Known issues. Terrain textures have a bit too much tiling. This will be resolved when we finalize our move to Unity 2021. Character creation and editing camera on Apple is bugged. I isolated the issue and submitted a bug report with Unity, and I'm still waiting to hear back on that. Not all Ember rings and or points of interest are proper map discoveries. This is especially true in Dryfoot and Dryfoot Stronghold. Discoveries and map uncovering is a work in progress and will be revisited soon. Deconstructing crafted items returns junk 100% of the time. You cannot roll or chat while you are unconscious. Not all clothing and armor has visuals. Drag in the group nameplate in the group window will set the pivot point and it will just act a little bit weird. Typing chat text may occasionally become invisible. Unfocus your chat window and try again a few times. Typically resolves this. Sometimes when you respawn, you don't end up at the proper Ember ring. If this happens, please report the position where you died via the report command or the debug position. If using debug position, you need to paste the value here. Alright, that was kind of a lot to digest. At least for me anyways, it was kind of a lot to digest. A lot of, again, nothing like major, but just a lot of little things here and there have been worked on. So we got a wipe. No more leveling potions, obviously. Ooh, big important thing to note. Important thing. Very important thing right here. I know many of you have gone through the leveling process numerous times. Yeah, we have. But please leave feedback for how this particular iteration feels. I cannot stress enough how crucial the low-level experience is, and we have to get it right if we want this product to succeed. I know we don't have quests in yet, but please pay attention and leave feedback on how you feel about the leveling pace, character strength progression, and equipment progression. And Undone is absolutely correct here. I cannot stress enough how crucial the low leveling experience is, and we have to get it right if we want the game to succeed. So please, take your time leveling. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to how it feels. What emotions does it give you? Is it boring? Were you banging your head against the wall? How does it feel? And also test out each class. Give each class a little bit of testing in the leveling department, and level up each class to, I don't know, 5, 10. And think about how the leveling experience is on a class-based level. Is leveling as a healer really crappy? Does it feel okay? How about a tank? How does leveling a tank feel compared to, leveling a DPS? Anyways, you guys, I'm sorry I have to cut the recap a little bit short. Please give your feedback on the leveling experience over the next couple of weeks. Really, really important. And yeah, I'm excited for this wipe. I'm excited to go hop into the game. And I really hope to see you all there. Thank you for watching. Bye!